The IGEL evolution in Australia, what I found here was a quite solid market for VDI and server-based computing, which was, highly supported or fulfilled in the end-user compute space from, competitors in that space. Over the last 3-4 years, we had to build a distribution and partner network, which helped us to basically build a foundation of a working company and a go-to-market. So we had after the first year we had a solid 60 odd transactional partners, which was, we had a few transactional partners beforehand, but really building that momentum was key. We introduced the Universal Desktop Converter 2. In particular, we had a lot of success from day one with that software. So with our partners, they were traditionally adding IGEL to the conversation they already had with our competitor's product, but with one differentiator, which was you can actually just use the software on your existing endpoints. And that story really resonated with most customers, and we're still building and farming from that momentum we built. A major uptake for virtual environments, cloud, server-based computing. We can see that pretty much everywhere in Australia where we have a distributed company. We have healthcare providers, hospitals, it goes into manufacturing, logistics, goes into hotels like hospitality. We've got retail brands using some sort of centralized compute. Now, what they all have in common in Australia in particular is that their biggest challenge is connectivity and distribution. The go-to-market here has slightly changed, and it comes all back to our software, which is our core value. Now, with the market strategy around the partner network, we recently introduced a tiered partner program where we want to work with committed partners more and more and much closer together. We've got a number of partners in Queensland, in New South Wales, and Victoria, but then also in South Australia and Western Australia, and the same in New Zealand. Now, when we look at the larger resellers, SIs like Dimension Data, Datacom, Telstra, Optus, they become more of a SI now as well. It is quite tough to actually get their interest as a thin client vendor. They're getting there now, is that an end-user compute solution in that space. Back in the days, these companies probably were focusing on a couple of products, where the end-user compute space here really drives the entire solution, whether that is deployed in the cloud or on-prem, or they're building their own data centers. It is basically the end point is driving that, because the endpoint doesn't do anything else but connecting to those solutions. And that makes it super secure, super flexible in terms of scalability. People signing up for AWS and other cloud providers like Microsoft Azure, for the reason of being able to scale up when they need to. Let's look at a travel company, for example, which has offices around the country, and they want to open up a new store. Back in the time, without VDI, that was a task to actually get that started. Now with the VDI solution or server-based applications, doesn't have to be a full desktop, maybe just applications. Customers now can actually activate a store overnight. The competitive space is really, really funny in Australia, and I think elsewhere in the world. So our CMO, JS, started a campaign last year where IGEL was giving away a Tesla. And he created a process behind that, which if you wanted to win a $150,000 car, then you needed to do something for it. First thing was filling out a form, and the second thing was to commit to a meeting. Now, we've driven around 25,000 demonstrations last year in 12 months with that campaign. And one of our main competitors, I was just getting an email from one of their distributors the other day, and it said in the email signature, it's like, yeah, we're going to give away a Tesla. And I was sitting there and thinking, wow, if their marketing team it takes them a year to adopt on what their competitors do, I wonder what their technology is like. Look, it has always been a very interesting space, and if we look at companies, in particular at startups these days, they don't buy infrastructure anymore. Most businesses who starting in the cloud, and I guess what we see in terms of established corporations, their biggest issue is getting their applications, their legacy applications, cloud ready. So what I foresee happening is that more and more applications in that space either become cloud ready or gonna get entirely disrupted by new people who, like startups coming to the market, offering a very similar service of that application, but it's cloud ready. I don't believe that moving forward that we will have a lot of hardware to sell to and customers, and don't get me wrong, we will always have a legacy there, but the majority will be migrating to a cloud. And again, whether that is on-prem, off-prem, hybrid, doesn't really matter, but there is a huge push toward that centralized compute, and IGEL has a prime spot on that table because of its security featured operating OS, which not only runs on its own hardware but can be deployed on pretty much every endpoint. And I've got one here, a UD Pocket, and for the people who don't know what that is, it's basically marketed as the smallest thin client in the world. So you basically plug it into any device, and you've got your thin client, let's call it a gateway, to connect to your infrastructure. Now, the way I use it all the time is when I'm traveling, because I don't want to carry my laptop. And if I have to connect to the corporate environment and use someone else's device, that could be a hotel device or whatever device, I can securely connect to my applications by using that. And all it takes is basically another key on my keychain.